Well, you cute,
Perfect.
cute.
Girl.
Listen,
Thank you.
listen, I'm like 9 o'clock, man. Dreek me about to go to bed.
Yeah, usually that's how it is. Girl, I done took the satin cap off and the wrap. Okay, I only
Listen,
do this for the lives. Okay, I only do this for the people. Maybe one day I'm gonna pull up with my satin cap on, but you know.
listen, listen. I feel you, sis. I'm just like, you know what? The people gonna get this bare face today.
It's all good. You're still beautiful either way. But
Amen.
Dreek, I want to be honorable of your time. I know you are just amazing in all things finance, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be able to share your story and to be able to ask you a couple questions on how to move forward and prepare for 2021. But since I know you already, can you please let the people know who you are, more about your business, and all things you?
Yeah. So what's up, guys? I am Coach Dreek, business money coach. I am an ex-accountant. So I've been full-time entrepreneurship for about 6 months. I quit back in June and I wanted to just pursue this financial literacy journey, sharing what I know about money with my people, right? So I went ahead and quit, and I basically help women to take control of their money so that they can confidently leave their jobs. So I help you establish all of the money plans, personal financial plans, right? Because that's just equally as important as your business financial plans. And then helping you bridge that transition so that you can actually be financially stable in order to quit your job and do what you love to do, and share the gift that God gave you with the people and get paid well for it. Like, let's not forget that part. So yeah, that's who I am and that's what I do. I've been in business for about 3 years. And this quarter, Q4, has been the most profitable quarter since I've been in business. So I'm really enjoying being a full-time entrepreneur and yeah, feeling it.
There were so many buzzwords. That's why I'm over here choosing like, oh yes, profitable, and
Yes,
seeing all the things like coming to manifest and
yes.
creating a plan. And speaking of creating a plan, what are some things that we should be thinking about as we are closing out this year? How do we build a very effective plan that is solution focused and very practical in nature?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. So the first thing is you want to be financially aware, right? You cannot get where you're going without first establishing and knowing where you are, right? So think of it like a GPS. You say, hey, Siri, give me directions to. The first thing she needs to know is, where are you coming from? Is it your current location? Are you coming from the south side? Are you coming from the north side? So it's really about understanding where you are so that you make effective steps in order to get where you're going. So, for example, it doesn't make sense to have a goal to pay off your $12,000. Let's say you have a credit card debt of $12,000. You want to pay it off in a year, right? So that's $1,000 every single month in order to do that. But if your bills are already at 2,500 and you only make $3,000 a month, then obviously that is not a realistic goal or an effective goal, because you have to consider the fact of where you are, right? So if you don't know where you are currently, it's going to be extremely hard for you to get to where you're going. So the first thing you want to do is have financial awareness. Know exactly where you are with your money, how money is coming into your life, how money is going out, before you even sit down to plan, right? Once you're clear about how money is moving, then you want to start looking at financial direction. Where am I headed? What are my goals? Why do I want to achieve the things that I want to achieve with money? Because when you establish a why, when you put that why you want to do it behind it, it gives you the extra motivation and the extra you need in order to actually achieve your goals, right? And so then the last thing is financial guidance. So now you want to build out your plan so that you understand exactly what steps you need to take, right? So that's your budget, that's automation, that's doing whatever you need to do, implementing whatever you need to implement in order to make sure that you are successful in actually hitting your goals, right? So if you want to save, then having the money auto drafted from your bank account so that it goes there so you don't see it. What you see in your checking account is what you have, and then you've automatically moved money other places, right? So you are setting yourself up to be successful. So financial awareness, financial direction, and then financial guidance. Those are the things that you want to think about if you want to start building a successful money plan going into 2021.
The thing that I love about all of that is it requires awareness. And
Oh,
when I think about that, I think about like mindfulness techniques, right? And so
yeah.
sometimes we have to take a step back and we have to do a consistent assessment, especially when we do onboarding in therapy.
Uh-huh.
That's how we're able to develop a treatment goal or a
Right.
treatment plan. And so, like you mentioned, having that vision, what are we working towards? How are we
Yeah.
going to get there? And then, we obviously we have a plan, but it's not all the way solid. We try to make it as flexible as possible as things progress. So I love that analogy that you use with maps and Siri and everything like that.
Yes.
You definitely made it plain for the people, sis. Loving it.
Listen, that's the only way. See, a lot of people think that financial management is so scary, right? They're so afraid of the idea, not necessarily what it means to manage your money, but the idea, because they put this big stigma on managing your finances, and people hear and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so scary. But it really is so simple, right? It's really just knowing where you are, knowing where you want to go, and then establishing the steps in order to get there. Like, that's it. Black and white every single day. There's nothing scary. There's no reason to be intimidated. It really is just knowing. That's the biggest thing, is just knowing.
Well, let's stay right there, right? The
Okay.
fear, because
Ooh.
fear comes in many forms and it like stems from different things, right? So a lot of us will have grown up with financial trauma. So we have to assess our relationship with our money. What do we learn about money growing up?
Yeah.
What did money look like? How easily accessible that was, and like trying to identify that relationship and see how that pours into other areas of our life, right? So we're literally unpacking that in order to get to the other side of it. And
Yes.
I think another thing too, what keeps us from making moves is the uncertainty of it all. So like that fear of what's on the other side of this
Yes.
thing. And I know
Yes.
like you probably have a couple of clients who are like, I know what my ideal self looks like, but I'm really scared to put one foot over the other because this is my comfort zone. At least I know what's in my comfort
Yes.
zone when it comes to my money, regardless of how problematic it is. And so, can you
Yes.
speak to you working with your clients on how to overcome that fear when it comes to money? How do you address that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I really believe that money mindset sets the foundation for achieving and doing everything that you want to do when it comes to your money. So like you mentioned, unpacking that trauma. So one of the exercises that I do, it's a 4-part exercise. And the first thing is gaining awareness, thinking about your earliest experience with money. What was the conversation like in your household? Like, what did your parents talk about? What were they feeling about money? When it came to bills, how did they act? Were they always short? What language did they have, right? And one of the things I always say is my mom was infamous for, do you have McDonald's money? Like, when I say that was her thing, like, oh, can we get McDonald's? Do you have McDonald's money? And so when I got older, right, I started eating out. Like, why? Because I got money, this is my money. And so that was the association that I had early on, right? And so I didn't manage my money well in early adulthood because of the relationship I had with money growing up, what it was in my house. My mom, we don't have money for that. It was always we don't. And so when I started making my own money, I did. And that caused me a lot of stress and a lot of troubles and a lot of everything, right? And so then the second part of that is then understanding. So once you know where it came from, then you can better understand why you are the way you are, right? And then once you have that understanding, then now you can disassociate yourself from that. Like, it doesn't have to continue. What happened in your past doesn't have to be your current life, right? You don't have to associate with money the way you did in your past. Like, you have the ability to now change the perception, change the stereotype, change everything about what did happen to what you want it to be. So you're disassociating yourself with what you learned in early childhood, right? And then the last thing is then a declaration, right? So now you're declaring what it is over your life. So I love money mantras and I speak them over my life often. Like, I have a lot of things on my little desk right here. One of them says, when I operate in my zone of genius, money flows to me effortlessly and abundantly. And I say these things every single day because I'm reminding myself that the way I was with money before is not how I have to live with money now, right? And so I practice with my clients just being free in accepting and being okay with what you want. So a lot of people fear not only what's unknown to them when it comes to money, but they also fear receiving money abundantly, right? So there's a fear that I've never had it like that. My family don't have money like that. I come from, you know, poor or scarcity thinking. And so they don't believe that they have the ability to live an abundantly rich life, right? They don't
Yeah.
think that. And so it's really just helping them unpack why they feel the way they feel about money, and then helping them establish mantras, establish plans and processes, and showing them on paper that this is possible. And that usually gets them out of the fear, like, oh, so you mean to tell me all I need to do, if I put $200 away every single month for the next X amount of months, I'll be able to do this? And it's like, yes, that's really all it is. And so it's helping them to see that it is more than what's in their head. Their thoughts is what's keeping them bound in fear. And so really just showing them what it looks like, and that usually snaps them out of it. And then they get ready, and they're ready, and they're popping, and it's time. And it's like, oh, we can do this now, sis. Let's go.
Let's go. I love it. The use of affirmations and I statements, those are so important, especially
Yeah.
as we're building self-esteem. And then also strength-based therapy, right? Identifying our strengths.
Yes.
And if we have some type of weaknesses, it's okay. We could take those L's and turn them into lessons.
Yes,
So I love all of
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. Obstacles into opportunity. Like I say, what is it that you have to do so that this doesn't happen again? Like, it's a blessing that you see it now when the money is small, because it's easy to say, you know, oh, well, I don't want to give up, you know, $1,000, but when you have to pay out $100,000, it's not as easy, right? It's not as simple. So what happened now? Let's build the discipline now so that when it gets to those big numbers, it's nothing at that point. No thanks.
Speaking of discipline, you have a program called Conquer Your Coins.
Yes.
Let people know what comes in that program and what that even looks like. Take us step by step.
All right. So Conquer Your Coins is a 5-day intensive. And the idea is that you conquer your coins, right? So there are a lot of programs out there that are telling you exactly what to do, but that's it. They leave you on your own to do it by yourself. And what I found is that when it comes to money, that fear that people have, the unknown that we were just talking about, that uncertainty, it makes it extremely hard to implement, right? Even if you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, if your mindset is not where it needs to be, then you are unable to actually fulfill the steps, right? It's like, I know that what I'm eating is unhealthy, but I'm going to eat it anyway, right? Or I know that buying this is going to put me back on my goal, but I want it now anyway. And so in Conquer Your Coins, there are 5 aspects of financial management that we go through. So day 1 is all about money mindset. As I mentioned, mindset is the foundation. If you don't think right about money, then nothing that you do beyond that is going to work. Everything is going to fall apart. Like, it doesn't matter what systems, strategies, processes we put in place. If you don't have the mindset to believe that you can achieve them, nothing we do matters at that point, right? And so then the second thing is money goals. So then we're talking all detailed about your money goals. We're going to jump into what you need to make. We're going to figure out like why you need to make them, and really go beyond just the idea of throwing numbers out there, but having them make sense, putting attaching like something that's personal, a purpose to it, so that it motivates you to meet your goals. And then the next day, day 3, we're all on to financial projections. And this is what I'm talking about, being able to show you on paper what it looks like. And I think this is the favorite day for most people, because they get to see, oh, in 5 years, I'm going to have this amount of money in my bank account, right? They love that part. And then we get to day 4 and they're not as excited, because day 4 is all about budgeting. And that's the one word that people hate. They hate to budget, and it's because they feel like it's restrictive. And so what I do in the program is I show you how to prioritize the things that you want, so that you can simultaneously get all of them at the same time. There's no or with me. It's always and this instead of this or this, right? I think Cardi B said that in one of her songs. What is it? I don't want to choose. How does it go? What was the first song? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't remember the lyric right now, girl.
Like, I'm trying to think of it, but I think it's Money Moves. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna post it in this for later. And then the last day is financial organization. And so this is where we get into organizing your finances and automating them. And so it is a 3-hour session every single day, right? Because we're doing we have gratification at the beginning, the lesson, and then there's an implementation session. So you get all the worksheets and you are actually implementing it with me. I'm answering your questions specifically. So when you leave the program over the 5 days, you know exactly what's happening with your money. You have complete transparency and complete clarity. And so after 5 days, you know how much money you're making, how much money you need to make. You know what it looks like for a comfortable lifestyle. You know what it looks like to have a luxury lifestyle. You know the exact steps you need to take. You know where to save. You know where to spend. You know how to invest. Like, you legit know everything you need to know about reaching your money goals, and when you'll get there if you follow the plan. And then you'll have your QuickBooks or your accounting software automated and set up so that you know how money is moving, and then you don't have to do it, because nobody likes to go in there and record their transactions. That's the one thing that people hate the most. I don't know why, because it's actually quite fun to me, but everybody hates like tracking their finances. And so I automated that part so that you don't have to. And so so that's pretty much 5 days of, it's really intense. I got a lot of feedback this last go around, like, girl, I needed it. I'm happy it's done, but that was intense. And I'm like, that's the point of it. It was supposed to be intense. It's an intensive. So yeah.
But it's all about growing and stretching
and
changing that mindset. Like you mentioned, just changing the way we view budgeting, or even all of those personal finance related vocabulary words and whatnot. That way we're able to see it and recognize that, damn, I could do it too. I remember I saw this post yesterday. It said that I went from wishing that was me to I can do it too. And so appreciating what is in your power, accepting the things that you cannot change, and then having the courage to change the things that you can. And so I really love it. Let me see if anybody have any questions, because you my sister. I can talk to you at any time. If anybody has any money mindset questions whatsoever, any questions for 2021? If not, then Dreek, can you let the people know how you tend to your own personal mental health, and especially as a female entrepreneur?
Yes, listen, this has probably been the hardest thing for me to get through, right? Because I'm now over the hump. When I started, I was working full time. So I was like getting up in the morning, working my business, going to work on somebody else's business, coming home, working on my business. And I got to a point where I was so burnt out. I was so stressed out. I was looking at what everybody else was doing and comparing my journey to theirs, right? And so mentally, I was drained. Like, I'm doing all of this, God, why is it not working, right? And so I started to not only, was I exhausted physically, but mentally I was exhausted because I was doing so much stuff and I felt like I wasn't making any progress. And the biggest change that happened for me was setting boundaries. Like, I have boundaries, right? 5 p.m., 5:01, I'm off. I am off of work, and I do not work on Saturdays at all. Saturdays is me time. Saturdays is time for me to spend with my husband. Saturdays is time for me to spend with my dog. We go to the beach. We don't talk work. Don't even ask me about the next day. Like, I am present in that current moment. And that has been huge for my mental health because it's allowed me to give my mind a break, right? When you are an entrepreneur, when you are creative, when you are a visionary, thoughts are always going. Ideas are always coming. And it's like they always come at the most inconvenient times when I'm in bed and I'm trying to sleep. And then I'm like getting up because I'm like, I can't forget this thought. So I have notebooks next to my bed and I'm trying to jot it down, or I'm speaking into my phone. Hey, Siri, write this down for me. And it's like, I have set boundaries. It's like, you know what? If I forget it, then it wasn't meant for me to remember. And if I need to remember, I will remember it in the morning, right? So I set boundaries and I have a routine. Now I have a morning routine and I do the exact same thing every single morning. So I get up, I read my scripture and I'm praying, and then I meditate, I journal, and then I get my day started. And so I get out as much of yesterday or whenever as I possibly can in my journal, and then I focus on the day. But a lot of it is about boundaries. I think that's probably the biggest part, is boundaries. Like, set your boundaries. Don't work when you don't want to work. Give yourself a break when you need a break. Show yourself grace. Like, entrepreneurship is hard. Like, it is not as easy as people are making it seem on the internet. Sis, like, this is hard.
Girl, make it seem like it's so sexy. Oh, okay.
oh my gosh, this thing is hard. So you have to give yourself time to just decompress and, revisit things that didn't work. Like, you have to just show yourself grace. And like, when I tell you, yesterday I was like, you know what, I'm not feeling it today. And so I legit did not do any work, but I needed that mental break because I've been going. I'm just like, you know what, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And so I'm okay with that. Like, and I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that I just do what feels right to me and not following what everybody else is doing. Like, if they want to work every single day, all day long, they got 10, 20 ideas that they're going after, that's them. But for me, I need a break, and I make sure I take those. Like, I have to.
Trust me, I get it. Like, that is probably still one of my hardest struggles. As much as I try to advocate for self-care and stuff like that, like, my mind is like ripping and running and whatnot.
Yes.
And it's so difficult. And it's so funny that you talked about personal boundaries, because there are so many different types of boundaries. And especially when we're talking about like our financial goals and whatnot. Monitoring our budgets or making sure that we have a plan and we stick to it. That is so key, and to success in general. And even discipline, like you mentioned. I have a homie in the DMV area. His name is Marcus Mason, and he owns Minds in Motion Therapy. And recently he had dropped a post talking about some make your bed. And even though that's literally the most simplest thing, make your bed, it's really like getting up consistently in the morning to make your bed, to do something. 2190, right? It takes 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to build a lifestyle. And so oftentimes we're thinking of these things as like, okay, these are super basic, but they're so basic to building a long-term plan for mental wellness.
Yes, absolutely. Intentionality. It's really just setting the scene and saying, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And as simple as it sounds, like you said, that is probably one of the things that I am the most inconsistent with, is making my bed. And so I'm gonna make my bed tomorrow morning, just because we talked about this. But I just like, it's just like, we work from home, nobody's in there. So yeah, dang. I feel seen. Okay.
That's one thing I'm really good at. I'll do that. I feel convicted, honey, if I'll make my bed in the morning. But it's just other things. You really have to, if you are trying to build a wellness plan, whether it's like financial wellness, occupational wellness, spiritual wellness, whatever, like, discipline is required. God requires discipline across the board. Amabel said, I want to focus on the budget piece. I have a block on that. So can you provide a little bit more advice or recommendations for us how to get ourselves in the budget mindset?
So the first thing I would say is scratch the word budget. Take it out, because automatically hearing the word budget, you have a negative connotation surrounding it. So don't even call it a budget. Call it your fulfillment plan. Call it your make me a better person plan. Call it my plan to financial freedom. Whatever you want to call it, just don't call it budgeting. Because what happens when you say budget is now you automatically feel like, oh my gosh, I can't, right? And so you hear budgeting, it's like, budgeting means I can't have my morning coffee. I can't spend on this. I can't spend on that. And the blockage comes from the idea that you can't do things. So the first thing you want to do is figure out, how can you do it, right? It's prioritizing and putting a method in place that will allow you to do all the things you want to do simultaneously. And so it's being aware of what those things are, and then figuring out how can you do them both, or however many you have, right? So don't even think about it as budgeting. Don't think of it as being restrictive. Think of it as showing you what you need to do in order to have everything you want to have in life. So that's the first step. Is really getting clear on removing the word can't, removing the word budget. Don't call it that at all. Like, find something else, find something cute. If you think of something, definitely send it to me so I can start calling it that too. But yeah, for sure you can. Just figuring out how to do them all, how to prioritize whatever it is that you need to budget on. Give me a little bit more about what it is that you're blocked on? Like, what specifically? Is it that you want to save? Is it that you're trying to pay off debt? Is it that you want to start a business? Is it that, you know, whatever it is it that you just want to be better with money? Like, why do you want a budget in the first place? Let's talk about that. Why is it that you feel that you need a budget, right?
Hold on, we'll wait for her to drop it in the chat
Okay.
if she's able to do so. Let's see. But while we're waiting, just going to say hi to a couple of people. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, friends to the fatherless daughters. Oh, Amabel, better with money. She just wants to have a better relationship with money.
So so in that sense, you don't call it a budget, right? I mean, you can be better with money without creating a budget, so to speak. You are creating a financial plan, right? So you say that you want to be better with money. What does that look like? Is it that you are not spending the way you want to spend? And that goes back to financial awareness. What are you spending on? And are they necessities or are they wants? Is it something that you can live without? Is it something that you need? And then does that mean that you either need to make more money, bring in more income so that you can do all of the things? Or is that you need to cut in some areas so that you don't do the things that you don't necessarily need, right? And then if you're wanting to meet your goals, then it's how are you going to do that with either what you have or what do you need in order to be able to do that? And so you want to travel. So this sounds more like more goal setting than budgeting, so to speak. And so I would say that you want to think about income allocation or optimization. And what I mean when I say that is, how do you divvy up your income so that you can do all of these things? Where are you traveling to and how much money do you need and when do you want to go, right? And then how much of your current income can you shift over to that particular fund or that account so that you'll be able to do it, right? And what other goals do you have? How can you divvy up your money? How can you divide it? So is that like, okay, a lot of times I offer the 50-30-20 rule where 50% is going to go to your obligations and your expenses. And then I have flipped them. It's not 30% for your like investment. Well, I have 30% for my investments and my savings. And then the 20% is for you to play with. So whatever that percentage allocation looks like, just being clear on where that money is going. And then you just put the money there and essentially that's a budget, right? It hasn't restricted you from doing anything. You're just letting your money know where it's going in order for you to be able to meet your goals.
And the beauty of it is, like we mentioned earlier, you're able to make the necessary changes, like, you know, because seasons require different changes over time.
Yes, for sure.
I meant to tell y'all, these are just suggestions, okay? My dog is not a financial planner. This is not a client consultant relationship, okay? I just got to put that out there. You know, we are not held liable for any financial choices in this stage.
Listen. I mean, yeah, y'all don't get me chased up, okay? Wait, do we have an attorney on the team real quick? I might need to reach out and say, well, I said some stuff, right? Like, we gotta be protected.
Yeah, I was like, let me put the disclaimer out there. Do what you wish. We just giving y'all the information. That's it. Do whatever you got.
Yes, for sure. I mean, money is personal. That's what I love about it, is that it's personal. It's your own journey. There is no right or wrong way to money, right? It's just what you want to do and figuring out how to do what you want to do with what you have, right? That's really all money is. And that's the beauty of it. That's why I love it so much, is that you can really do whatever you want to do with it, right? And it's like you can make as much as you want or as little as you want. And they'll tell you all sorts of things like, well, I work in a job where they don't give out raises. Well, then you can get another job, right? Like, I mean, it's like there's ways to make it happen. And that's the beauty of, especially in America, like being able to, like, we have, I mean, let me not get into the whole glass ceiling thing with women, because that's a whole other but for the most part, you can do things to grow your income, right? You can get a side hustle. You can, do like I did, and you can quit your job and do full-time entrepreneurship, but make sure you have a plan before you do that. Don't just go out and quit your job, and then next thing you know, like, you're like, well, she done told me to quit my job. So yeah, don't have a plan. But the idea is that you can do whatever you want as long as you plan it out, right? What does it look like for you? And follow your own path. Like, you don't have to do it a certain way. It's all about your preferences and your priorities.
Yep, cool beans. Well, Dreek, can you let the people know where to find you? I know I have you tagged and everything, but let the people know where to find you, your website and all that jazz so they can stay connected.
Yes. So you can find me here on IG at Coach Dreek. Unfortunately, I suck at social media, and so this is the only platform that I have that I am active. I mean, you might search me on Facebook and you might find a little something, but it ain't gonna be nothing worth looking at. But you can catch me on my website for sure at www.purged.living.com. I will be starting a newsletter in the new year, so you'll get an email every week with just some tips and tidbits about financial management that you can enjoy for the free. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I do have a Know Your Numbers challenge coming up at the beginning of the year that's also free. So it's 7 days where you can learn how to know your numbers, what you need to do so that you can get rid of the fear, the anxiety, and then it's no pressure. So you'll get some templates that you get to work through. You get to work with other people who are in the same boat, who are trying to learn their numbers with you. So we're building community, we're building friendships, and we're going through it together. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Cool beans. Thank you so much, sis. Once again, like I mentioned, she's tagged and everything. I'm about to post this video. And as always, every interview that's done here ends up on my YouTube channel as well. So definitely stay connected by checking out the description box when you get a chance, okay? But Dreek, sis, thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We got to do this again on my channel. I'm going to bring you in now so you can talk to my people. Let them know really good. Listen.
Okay. All right, love. Have a good night. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all.